Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Hedger begins now.
Good evening. A total fire ban has been declared for most parts of Tasmania from tomorrow, with sweltering temperatures expected to create dangerous conditions. The Tasmania Fire Service is urging locals to be alert, warning parts of the state are a tinderbox.
Hot, dry and dangerous. These are the conditions facing Tasmania from tomorrow, with temperatures expected to rise into the mid-30s in some regions. Combined with a lack of rainfall for parts of the state, local firefighters are preparing to be on alert over the weekend.
We're going to very high over the weekend. That's on our rating, very high, and then we'll move into severe on Monday.
Fire bans have been declared over the north and south of the state from 2 a.m. tomorrow until 2 a.m. Tuesday. All outdoor fires, with the exception of gas fires and barbecues, will be banned. The TFS says eastern parts of Tasmania remain a particular concern for them.
Vegetation is very, very dry on the east coast. All the way up the east coast. We've forecast this coming into the fire season and it's still the same.
Taste of Tasmania will go ahead as normal, with the event not included in the ban. And firefighters will also be present at the Falls Music Festival.
Trucks on the ground, and we also have aircraft able to mobilise to that location. So that's well covered as far as our plans go and as far as the event planners goes.
With bushfires in New South Wales and South Australia already stretching resources, the TFS says local residents are the first line of defence, urging them to be alert.
Make sure that you're prepared, that your family's prepared, that you speak to your neighbours. That's very important that you do those sorts of things so that everyone in the community is aware.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
Police are concerned for the welfare of a 27-year-old woman who hasn't been seen since Christmas Eve. Amelia Kelly Franken was last sighted at Kingston Beach wearing a blue and white jacket, 3/4 length pants and Croc sandals. Her family says it is unusual for her to be away for so long. Anyone with information is asked to contact police. Police are calling for witnesses to come forward over an incident in Hobart CBD on Boxing Day. A man was arrested in the Elizabeth Street Mall just before 2:30 yesterday afternoon following reports of poor behaviour. He's described as being around 50 years old and 175 centimetres tall, with dark hair in a partial ponytail, and was wearing a grey jacket and blue jeans. Anyone with information is asked to contact Crime Stoppers. Wrapping up the year tonight, we begin a series of interviews. The first with Tasmania's Greens leader, Cassie OConnor. She says 2019 has been one of her proudest years in politics, but also one of disappointment. Our political reporter, Michelle Wisby, has this special report.
These were the climate strikes that took over Tasmania. Thousands of students demanding governments take action and fast.
2, 4, 6, 8, climate action cannot wait.
It's this exact moment Greens leader Cassie OConnor says was the highlight of her year.
The energy that was coming out of those kids, and really what they're doing is they're turning their fear and their fury into a positive energy that we have to make sure leads to change.
But we've been in worse places and we'll be back.
This time last year, the Greens were still recovering from a disastrous election result, seeing the party reduced to just 2 members.
And yes, it's been a hard election for us.
2018 was a hard year. It was a hard year for the Greens, and I personally had to process that and have a look at what I need to do better.
Is that a hard thing for you to do as a leader, to kind of step back and reassess after an election loss like that?
You spend a little bit of time in a mild state of shock, and you're also trying to look after the people who were part of that difficult campaign.
12 months on, she's already looking ahead to the next election, with hopes the Greens will attract more votes.
2022 will be a much better election for the Greens than 2018.
Do you think you can get some more members in the parliament?
absolutely.
Inside Parliament, it was two pieces of legislation that stood out to her this year. One, a personal crusade, a landmark change to Tasmania's gender laws, giving parents the choice as to whether they list their child's gender on a birth certificate. 2019 was Cassie OConnor's 11th year as a politician, but she said this was her proudest moment.
We did it through that sense of collectivism and knowing that there was a terrible wrong in the law in Tasmania, and we've fixed it.
To Tasmania leading the world.
Yeah. Go Tassie!
Bringing an end to a decade-long fight for change. More than 6 months on, it's a memory that still brings a smile to Cassie OConnor's face.
It was a privilege to spend time with people who've been battling hard laws, discriminatory laws, and to be able to do something about it. It was really good.
The other piece of legislation, not such a fond memory.
Oh, g'day, you gorgeous bunch of potential criminals.
The government announcing late this year its plans to reintroduce controversial anti-protest laws, going on to pass their first hurdle thanks to new independent MP Madeleine Ogilvie.
Tasmanians have a right to know what price your government has paid for Ms Ogilvie's ongoing support.
It's a highly political piece of legislation, but it's also very, very dangerous if it's ever passed.
It's a state of Parliament that's left her less than impressed. The power dynamic changed and complex.
If people watch Parliament, they'd be really, I think, bitterly disappointed in the government's looseness with facts and the truth.
And as 2019 draws to a close, that fight for transparency is not something she's giving up on anytime soon. But for now, her final few days of the year will be spent relaxing as she gets ready to do it all again in 2020.
Mostly it'll just be hanging out with the family. We'll probably head down the peninsula and just relax, plant things.
Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
And tomorrow, the next in our series of political specials, Labor leader Rebecca White reflects on a tumultuous year for her party. That's tomorrow night on 7 Tasmania. Back home now, and a new book featuring almost 50 years of photography from the Sydney Hobart Yacht Race has been launched, helping mark the event's 75th anniversary. Across 5 decades features the work of local photographer Richard Bennett. He's been covering the race since 1974, capturing some of its most iconic images. He says his aim is to showcase the conditions faced by competitors.
Some of the storms out there have been horrendous, and the beautiful pre-dawn light and some of the golden sunsets.
An exhibition featuring his work is also on display at Hadley's Orient Hotel until January 12. Preparations are almost complete for this year's Falls Music and Arts Festival at Marion Bay. The annual event is set to offer more family-friendly music and activities than ever before, with organisers preparing for hot weather conditions over the 3-day event.
This empty field is set to be taken over by thousands of festival goers this weekend. Lights are being strung and roofs painted, with finishing touches being put in across the site for the 17th Falls Festival.
The site's looking amazing, looks beautiful, so we're ready to welcome everyone here on the 29th of December.
2019's event sees changes to the traditional layout. For the first time in 13 years, the village site is no longer, instead being transformed into a multi-use site.
We've got Smalls Festival this year, which is a festival within the festival for the young ones, so that operates during the day. In the evening we've got Nightcap, which is bands, DJs and drag queens on stage.
Organisers say this year's musical offerings are better than ever. Musical acts from across the country and the world will be taking over the site's 3 stages, with a focus on Tasmanian talent at the homebrew stage.
I'm personally looking forward to Of Monsters as Men. Wolf Mother is going to go off on the main stage. Baker Boy's going to be over on the field stage. I think it's going to be really fun as well. But yeah, there's going to be something for everyone.
The festival has been marred in previous years with reports of antisocial behaviour. Tasmania Police preparing to ramp up their presence in an effort to stamp that out. With more than 10,000 people expected to attend the event, preparations are in place for the predicted high temperatures across the 3-day festival.
We've got free drinking water stations all over the site, so bring your reusable plastic bottle and keep drinking water. We do have shaded areas in each of the arenas. We'll also have some misting tents so people can get a little bit refreshed there.
The gates open here at Marion Bay at 9 a.m. on Sunday. Tickets are still available via the Falls Festival website. Ebony Ablett, 7 Tasmania News.
The final touches are also being put on this year's Taste of Tasmania Festival. Opening tomorrow on Hobart's waterfront, the colourful event offers more than 80 stalls and family-friendly entertainment. With a focus on local producers, this year's Taste will also have a ban on single-use plastics. Patrons are encouraged to bring along reusable water bottles to fill at water stations across the site.
We make it so that it is really sensory and enjoyable for people. Plus, you've got the best food and beverage here at the Taste to sample and try. So it's the biggest party that Tasmania sees.
Entry is free, however, tickets are required for New Year's Eve celebrations. Launceston's one-way streets have confused another commuter. A P-plater was captured on CCTV driving the wrong way up York Street when she was faced with oncoming traffic. Realising the error, she slowly backed up but ended up going a little too far.
You need to go that way. You know what, mate?
Do you need a breath test? Have you been drinking?
No.
The driver and passengers drove away uninjured but with damage to their car.
A field of 20 vessels is tonight destined for the River Derwent in the Launceston to Hobart yacht race. It remains the challenge of choice for local skippers, especially with a familiar foe back on the starting line.
There's little question over the yacht worth beating.
Falcon the Road's run the race 7 times now, under a couple of different names. But we're trying to go for the 8th line honours this year.
Not if the crew of green has its way. She's the favourite to beat the favourite.
But if she gets the right conditions, I think she'll give Falcon the Road a real touch-up for line honours.
The vessel is designed for just 2 people, but Ken Goulet wants to make sure a victory is shared with his 3 children.
They'll keep me going. They're quite keen.
And then there's Rad, which didn't quite live up to her name last year.
And they got hit by a bit of a gust down breeze and lost the rig over the side, so that was a bit unfortunate, but we're back on board again and ready to race again.
A light breeze meant anything but a lightning start. With Beauty Point behind them, the fleet still made an impressive sight. 20 vessels are setting sail in this year's race, but numbers are slightly down, with some opting to join Sydney Hobart in its 75th year. But this race still remains a popular challenge, especially for the locals.
This is sort of a nice intermediate coastal race that is almost sort of, I guess, a bit of a forerunner for those that might be thinking about doing the Sydney to Hobart.
The 285 nautical mile race is expected to wrap up on Sunday. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Good evening. 27 was the state's warmest today in Launceston, a high of 21 across Burnie and Devonport, and Hobart 19. A high of 20 about King Island and Low Head, Grove and Smithton 21 and 23 in Strawn. On the close-up, very low-level cloud about the northeast and central east with very little cloud elsewhere. Further out, a very large area of thunderstorms is seen over the top end, while a mid-level cloud band is over central Western Australia. Tomorrow shows a weak trough over Tasmania with a cold front to the west. Northeasterly winds tomorrow 20 to 30 knots, swells up to 2 metres in the west and south and up to 1 metre in the north. A strong wind warning is current for lower eastern and southeastern coastal waters from Wineglass Bay to Southeast Cape. Tomorrow's forecast now mostly sunny in Hobart, Maydena 28, 33 in Oatlands. In the north, a high of 33 in Launceston, Devonport partly cloudy, 27 in Lyowini. Burnie tomorrow 27, a high of 23 across Strawn and Marrawar. 33 in St Helens, a partly cloudy 30 about Swansea and Orford. The UV forecast extreme 11s across the state. Looking ahead to the 3-day forecast, Sunday fine and mostly sunny with light winds. Monday showers with possible thunderstorms extending from the northwest during the afternoon, and Tuesday early morning showers contracting to the southwest and northeast. Capital cities looking very hot and mostly sunny at Adelaide tomorrow, Alice Springs reaching 41 and 32 at Melbourne. And currently Hobart and Devonport sunny and 19, Launceston sunny and 24. That's all in weather tonight, Louise.
Wonderful, thank you for that, Jackie. And that's all your news for now. Thanks for joining us tonight. Have a lovely evening. Good night.